Hey all, Board Gamerants, where you'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. And today we're going to talk about Targi, along with its expansion, a little bit about how it plays solo, and then what I think about it on the other side. So Targi is basically a tableau building game, card tableau building game, and you're trying to build out the best tribe. And so you're going to have cards laid out here, 3 rows and 4 in each row. Well, maybe. I mean, ideally, that's how you're going to score the most points anyway. But the way you're going to do that is taking actions out here on the board, which is made up of a border of cards that never changes. And then in the middle, you've got 9 cards that will change. And you'll be taking actions using your little pawns here to triangulate basically your actions, which I'll show you in a second. But those actions are going to have you gather resources such as gold or pepper or salt or dates or water. I do have the expansion going here, so Targi, the expansion, is also included here, so keep that in mind. You can play the solo without the expansion, but you know, once you have the expansion, I don't think you'd ever go back. Anyway, so you'll be taking actions to gather resources, or once you have enough resources, then you're going to be able to build up your tribe. And these are tribe cards here. You've got the costs up above, and these are the cards that are going to end up down here in your tableau. And it's going to matter how you build them out too, because if you build them, you start left to right, and you can only have 3 rows, and you can only have 4 in each row. So if you start a tribe card here, you can't move it. And then I think there's 5 different types of tribe cards, I think. And so if you build a row of 4 and they're all the same, you're going to get bonus points. If you build a row and so again, if they're all the same, you're going to get bonus points if you have 4 the same. But I think 4 bonus points. And then if you build them and they're all different, though, let's say, then you're going to get bonus points, but like 2, I think. So once you are done, you're going to score your points, which is going to be made up of points you've gathered up, and then your tribe cards are going to have points on them, and you might get some endgame scoring points and other stuff. But you're going to be going up against Andy here. Andy is just a roll of the die, and that's going to determine Andy's choice out there. But Andy's very simple. Andy just basically blocks you. That's all the solo AI does. But each game you can roll up, you can use this die, and you do need your own pieces. You need like 5 little markers, your own D12 to make it work. Well, sort of. I mean, really, yeah, that's what you need. Anyway, and you roll these up at the beginning of each game, and you also have to roll the objective victory. That's obligatory. But everything else is optional. But hey, why not? You roll it all up. It gives you just different things, like you have to have a certain number of resources left at the end of the game to consider it a victory. You have to have a certain number of victory points. You have to have maybe built your rows up in a certain pattern. And then there's an obstacle you can roll that sort of changes the base rule of the game, so that makes it a little more difficult for you. So each game you can roll that up, mix up your objectives and your victory points needed. And a round, basically, there's up to 12 rounds too, because it's going to be measured by the robber here and the Targia, if I'm saying that right. Each round that you play, you're going to get to pick a border card, and then you're going to go turns back and forth. So it's going to be you, and then the AI is going to roll, and it's going to determine where the AI goes. So let's say there, and then I might go, I don't know, right here, and then the AI might end up right here, and then I might end up here. And there's rules to it. Like, you can't, like if I'm here, the AI can't go here. I could, but the AI can't. And so I wouldn't be able to place my guy there if the AI already had a character there. So there's some rules to it. You can't go on where the robber is, and some other stuff. But once you've taken your turns, and sometimes the AI is going to end up over here in the sand dune. This is an expansion part. Then you actually look to see where the crosses are. So between this guy and this guy, it's this card, and between this and this, it's this card. So I'm going to be utilizing these for my actions, and the AI well, wouldn't really pick any card the way it landed out. It would just basically cancel out. I wouldn't be able to get this sand dune, and the AI would be done. But the AI can take cards off the board. Doesn't build a tableau or anything. Just kind of gets in your way. Just an impeding AI. That's all it does. But then once it's my turn to basically initiate the actions that I've set up by placing my markers, then I'm going to get my resources, and among other things, I can trade resources, and then, you know, hopefully I've got 2 salt and a gold so that I can build this tribe card, put it in my tableau. And you'll play up to each time you're done. So maybe I've taken this, you're going to discard this. It's interesting too, every time you use a good card, you put in a tribe card. And every time you take a tribe card out, you put a good card in there. And so that's how this is going to shift and change the cards here each round, making availability randomized and balanced. And then you will you'll have all your guys off, and then perhaps if I had the first turn marker, that'll go over there. You'll move the robber up here. You'll move the target sheet. This person, tribe member, gives you some bonuses if you activate her. The robber basically, every time it gets to a corner, does a raid and removes, in this case, the first raid, either pepper or a victory point. Second raid as it goes around. So the longer the game goes, the more you stand to lose. And if it makes all the way around to the end raid, that triggers the end game. The other thing that triggers end game is having a fully fleshed out tableau of 12 cards. And then you will score your game and see if you won according to your objectives. So Targi, even with the expansion, you can set this game up in 5 minutes. And then between games, 3 minutes. You just shuffle up some few decks and you're back in action. Very quick. The table space it takes, maybe 2 by 2. Easily fit this on any coffee table with some room to spare, if you will. Length of play, 30 to 45 minutes. You know, a good 45 minutes when you're going all 12 rounds, which usually I feel like I got closer to that all the time, just because it takes time to get all 12 of those tribe cards out, you know, to maximize your score. The components, the value there, well, you know, when you buy the 2, especially when you buy them separately, you're paying over 20 bucks. Well, together I got this for a little over $40. And then when you put it away and you find that you can actually put both games or both sets away in one box with the insert still, doesn't look like $40+ worth of material. But whatever, this game it simply commands that price. It's been around a long time. It has gained a lot of notoriety, well deserved, I would say. And so, yeah, you get that staying power. You get to command that higher price mark, and so respect, you know. But moving on, theme wise, well, you know, it's I don't know, it's hardly there. It's just a card game, and you sort of feel like you're setting up, building your tribe with your tableau of cards, but you know, loosely, there's a theme there as much as any maybe kind of Euro game would have, I guess. And the rule books were both fantastic. I don't think I looked up a single FAQ. To get the solo variant, you need to go on, I don't know, I think it's BGG. That's where you download that, you print it, and it's just a few pages, and you can fit that right. You just fold it right up, put it right in the box too. But learning these rules is a breeze. And incorporating the expansion, simple. You know, it just adds some stuff, but the game still plays very much the same way. And then the solo variant itself, super simple. I mean, just running Andy, just a roll of the die, and it kind of gets in your way, steals cards you might like. Everything's just very, just flows very well, easy to understand. This game, very appealing, and quite nice when you're someone like me that just plays heavy games all the time. I didn't have to like study this. Good stuff. So rulebook, great, and the mechanics, yeah, just wonderful. You know, there's nothing super fancy going on here. There's very clever, I think, with where each round sort of has 2 things to it. First, you're jockeying for position to try and get, you know, the cards, the resources, and the tribes that you want, and the triangulation you want. But Andy, with a roll of the die, can screw it all up. And then you get to activate your cards, and you can activate your cards in any order. And so a lot of times that order I felt like was pretty straightforward, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it seems to matter, and sometimes there's a little bit of betting going on, because your tribe cards can give you little powers too, which change to how you play the game. Some of the tribe powers are just extra points at the end, but some of them change the game so that, like, anytime you use the get salt border action, now you can choose any resource. And then sometimes you'll pick one of the border actions where you just draw a random tribe and you don't know what you're going to get or if you'll want to play it. You can hold one card in your hand, by the way. I don't think I went over that, but only one. And so there's just, simple mechanics so well intertwined and placed together, extremely well done. And it plays just there's such a great feeling a pace. And again, this game has a charm to it that is you just don't see in a lot of games, especially games that are pretty straightforward like this. Good stuff. Is it heavy on the strategy side? No, I don't know. Not really. I mean, you kind of know what you're trying to do. But what's fun is when you dial up your objectives. And you can either just go for points. That's fine. If you want to just ease into the game, just try and go for 30 points and then maybe max it out at 40. You can roll to make it random. But the fact that you can also roll to mix up, what kind of resources you need to have by the end of the game. How you maybe need to have built your tribe out. How many cards you need to have in your tribe, I think, is another one of the parameters. And, and then the obstacle. The obstacles that you roll up is it's just awesome. It just changes the game, kind of breaks a rule and makes you have to figure out, okay, you can't get used to playing just one certain way all of a sudden when you roll for that obstacle component. So just fantastic. And then once you're built how you need to win the game, you go, and then you just got to worry about Andy getting in their way and intercepting and stuff, and just very refreshing. Like I said, this is just a charming game, and it moves at such a pace that time flies by. So yeah, strategy is kind of set at the beginning. You know what you got to do, and then you just got to kind of adjust accordingly. But nothing brain burning by any means. Solo design is fantastic here. I think it's very well done. I think it's just the way this game. So you're not playing an opponent, but you feel like you are, because when you set up what you have to do to achieve a victory condition, now you've got Andy getting in your way all the time. And even though it's just random, I did play this game one time, 2-player, and it feels similar, because sometimes your opponent can see what you're gonna do and maybe wants to make sure you don't get that tribe card. But Andy, does it by accident, but it still feels kind of the same. So because sometimes you don't want there's a card you want more, and so you don't block that action. That because like I said, when you place your initial workers, there's rules to it. You can't double up on a card. You can't. If one person's on one side, you can't put the opponent on the other side and stuff like that. So some fun considerations there. And the solo variant does very well to capture it. And although it doesn't have like a difficulty level you can adjust, you can choose, instead of rolling that D12 each randomly, you can just kind of start everything at 1, basically, because 1 to 12, it gets harder in each parameter. I think it felt that way. And so you can dial up everything on 1. So you only need 30 points and X amount of resources, 1 or 2 or whatever, and then you only get relatively few cards in your tribe by the end of the game to achieve that victory condition. And then you always have to roll the random obstacle. But then if you achieve victory condition, ratchet everything up to the 2 level, and then ratchet everything up to the 3. And you don't have to have the expansion to play. You can have just the base game and play it, but you can see it was sort of designed, together with the expansion. And it tells you how to adjust if you don't have the expansion. So it may be well worth it just to get the base game, pay half the cost to just see if you like it or not, and then add the expansion. If you do like it, then once you get the expansion, I don't think you'll ever go back. But it is, you're paying twice the cost. You might do one at a time. So because you can still play the solo variant just with the base game. So replayable is all get out. Fun is all get out. I enjoyed this game. I think anybody who likes a lighter card game, tableau building game, is going to enjoy this, and plays solo is going to enjoy this, or has a partner. This is a kind of a modern classic. This one is Targi, and I enjoyed it. Is it going to stay in my collection? I don't know. Everything fits so small in a small box. Quite possibly. It's on the lighter side, and I do prefer heavier games, as everyone knows for the most part. But
But it's just, yeah, I don't know. It gives such a, I just feel good playing this game. And even though it's on the lighter side, it does have enough depth and just kind of interest to hold my attention for that 30-45 minutes. It seems to scratch maybe a particular itch that, and relearning this game would be so easy. So maybe it will stay in my collection. I don't know, but I still have certainly an interest in playing some more of this game, and that is Targi, along with its expansion. That's it. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you're thinking down below if you'd like. But until next time, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out.